Welcome to another episode of the Adventures in Business podcast. Today we have a guest who is transforming the hiring landscape in customer-facing industries. Joining us is Lauren Glass, the visionary founder of Personality Pool, a groundbreaking SaaS application revolutionizing how organizations hire. With their innovative platform, hiring becomes about identifying the right personality fit rather than simply scanning resumes for keywords. From sales to healthcare, hospitality to contact centers, Personality Pool flips the candidate pool, helping companies discover strong candidates with the perfect personality match. Using cutting-edge technology, including video interviewing, AI-driven speech analytics, and personality scoring, Lauren and her team are empowering businesses to make better decisions when hiring for entry-level positions or roles where personality matters more than experience. And guess what? Lauren is leading a session at CreatorCon on creating investable ideas. So get ready for an inspiring conversation with the brilliant mind from Kingsport, Tennessee, who's changing the game for hiring professionals everywhere. Let's dive in. We're here with Lauren Glass. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm like surrounded.
You don't even know where to look right now.
I know. I'm overwhelmed.
So, do you want to sit somewhere else? Or you feel?
I know. I'm good.
You feel good?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're in Kingsport, Tennessee today at Lauren's house, and this is a beautiful home you got here.
Thank you.
And the neighborhood's awesome.
Thank you.
Coming in, people walking their dogs, quiet, peaceful little place. It's nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're happy with it. We like, it's quiet and lots of dogs walking on the streets, and that's what we love to see here in a neighborhood.
Have you been in Kingsport your whole life?
I have been.
Okay.
Was born here. I moved away for like 5 years for a job, but I've been here all of the years but those.
Okay. Also on the show is Blake Salyer. We forgot to mention him.
We're here. Special guest. And we did an episode yesterday about CreatorCon. So that one's going to come out. I don't know when this episode's coming out. I don't know when the one we recorded yesterday is coming out. We're filming today on the golf course with Josh Mancuso. I'm overwhelmed. Just stacking up
Let
content.
me just say that. We've got a lot of content coming, people. We are stacking it up.
Love it.
And Lauren's going to be a speaker at CreatorCon. So partially why we got you here today, but we want to hear more about your story, which I think is fascinating. Blake knows a lot more about it than I do. I know vaguely your story, but I'd love to hear more about just like your life here in Kingsport. What did you do after high school? Where did you go to high school? Where did you go to college? What kind of jobs did you do before you started your company and became a full-time entrepreneur? And you've kind of been hustling at it for a couple of years now. So let's start maybe like, where'd you go to high school?
Well, me and Blake.
Is this a loaded question?
No, it's just crazy. Blake and I have known each other since probably have been crossing paths since elementary school just because of like school stuff. So it's just a full circle moment. But I went to a private school in town. Sounds a lot fancier than it was. No shade. If any of my fellow school people, when you say private school, people are immediately like, oh, and I'm like, wasn't that guy. So I went to a local private school and had no plans for college. Basically, in school, I just was one of those students that was there for the social aspect. Didn't really have any big plans or ideas like what I wanted to do after high school. And is this where you want me to go with this? Okay.
Go wherever your heart leads you.
It's been a long time since I've told my story from this way back. So, very average student, I would say. I think that's important to note in case there's any other very average students that you're going to make it. Yep. So after high school, I was, spent the summer before college trying to figure out what I was going to do. Obviously, I wasn't going to move away and go to college. My intention was to go to Northeast State locally and maybe do dental hygiene or just something that seemed like a good schedule, like consistent. That was pretty much the motivators. But throughout that summer, from senior year to freshman year of college, I was started really this is going into the depths of my soul here. But
I love this.
This is when influencers started beginning, and like YouTubers and things like that.
What year was it? What year
this
is this?
Was the year of 2009.
2009.
2009.
The year of YouTube.
When the creator economy began. But honestly,
in a world.
I know. I'm like, I'm 9,000 years old now because I remember when Instagram began. So honestly, there was 2 girls from Kingsport. I do not even know them. I have never seen them in my life. I don't know where they live now, but they started YouTube channels, and I became like really into watching those. And so that was, so I was like, okay, this is really cool. Like these girls are doing something different. They're making money from it. They were like beauty gurus. So like,
who are they?
They're not active anymore, but
really?
The channels were Juicy Star 07 and All That Glitter.
Do those channels still exist?
They do. I mean, these girls popped off, like moved to LA, did the whole thing.
Hold on here. Let's
But I haven't looked in years. But
Juicy what?
Juicy Star 07.
We're in real time gonna look at this. Because you know what? If they have a lot of followers, maybe we'll just buy their channel from them, you know?
Oh, they have. I don't know if it's your audience, but they definitely have like did you find them?
Is it spelled out 7?
Juicy Star 07.
Star 07.
Juicy Star 07. This was also the year of Juicy Couture.
Holy.
Yeah, they became big. They're huge. Good for them. I don't know where they are now, but
they have 1.6 million subscribers.
Yes. And so like I found out about them as they were starting that. They were still going to high school here and stuff.
Oh my! Where are they at now?
I have no idea. I've often wondered that.
This is actually an episode about Juicy Star 07.
Wherever you are, if you see this, I would like you to come back to YouTube.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. So started like they really did spark something in me. They were one of many things that summer that sparked something in me. And I think that was like a good glimpse of like, hey, there's people doing other things. This is kind of cool. And so I just started toying around with the idea, like, what am I going to do? You know, that's when really the pressure hit me, or, you know, all of that hit me that summer. Like, what's for me? What am I going to do? Am I really going to be happy sitting at a desk all day, every day? Can I clean people's teeth for a living? My mom is in the dental field, so obviously that felt comfortable to me, but like, can I do that? And I thought, no, I can't. Like, that doesn't feel right, but I don't know what does feel right. Yeah. And so I ended up going to see the movie The Blind Side in a strange turn of events. Yeah, with some friends. Long story short, there was a scene in that movie where Michael Orr is like, doesn't have a bed, and they give him a bed, and it's like this whole thing. It's like he was just so amazed that he was going to have a bed of his own. And so I was like, oh my God, like that scene really impacted the world, really, but it did something to me weird, apparently, because I started a nonprofit after I seen it. But I just thought I couldn't quit replaying that scene in my head and just thinking like, there's no way that there's kids in our communities that don't have beds. So then I ended up talking to people that we used to go to church with that were social workers, and it was a huge problem. Mm-hmm. So I decided that I wanted to start a nonprofit. And that's what I did. So I was 18, started a nonprofit, and that's really where my entrepreneurial journey began. I'm 32 now, so it's been, 12 years? No, wow. 14 years. Mm-hmm. So, I started with the nonprofit and have done many things since then. Definitely lots of pivots along the way, but yeah, that's kind of like how I got here.
I want to stay on the nonprofit just for a little bit. So when you started that, did you go out and get like donations, and sponsors? Like, how did you start it, and what did you actually do?
So we became a 501c3. That was like my first experience with ever doing anything with like that felt so overwhelming. Like, what do we do with all this paperwork? Blah, blah. I had a lot of really wonderful people that helped me through that. Mm-hmm. And then we just started raising money to buy beds, and we worked with beds. It was called Beds for Kids. Well, that's what it ended up being. But anyways, so we would work with the Department of Children's Services in schools to identify these children that didn't have beds. Blake knows all about this part. And then we would provide the bed. We would go deliver it, meet the families, hang out with the kids. And I did that until I was like 26 or 27.
Oh, wow. So you did it a long time. Mm-hmm. Does it still exist?
Mm-hmm. It does. It's not locally. So when I moved to Atlanta, we really started to do a lot there. And now it's still operating primarily randomly in Florida now. So it's been a few different places, and some stuff is still happening in Alabama. And it really sparked a lot. So even though our organization has shifted and changed as I stepped away, it sparked a lot of other people to kind of start a similar thing in their communities. And then, it was just time for me to do something else.
That's really cool. Did you focus just in one area, or was it kind of like a regional thing?
We regionally here in like the Kingsport Tri-Cities area. And then we were doing stuff in Georgia, Alabama, and Florida at one point. So
wow, that is incredible.
Thanks. It all feels like a blur.
So you started it. If you're a nonprofit, you have to have a board. And then were you the executive director?
Yes.
Is that your title?
Yes, I was the executive director. We had a board.
At 18, mind you.
At 18. I did not know what I was doing. We definitely didn't do everything right. Actually, never did. But we made it for a while.
That is so awesome.
A lot of kids got beds ultimately, and that was what was important. The business side of it was a struggle because I was so young, but it made an impact, and so we'll call it a win.
Yeah. I think it's so cool to hear that the storytelling of YouTubers and what you saw from that movie inspired you to do that. Like, you did it for 10 years, and then now somebody else is continuing on that vision, but it was because of a storyteller. You saw something on TV that made you want to go do that.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things, like it was the exposure to something different that could, you don't know what they did not spark me to become a beauty influencer, but it was just seeing them do something else that they seemed like really excited about. And so I'll say this as like a little takeaway. A lot of times people are like, just find something you're passionate about and do that. And you're like, okay, well, how do I find the thing I'm passionate about?
Yeah.
And
it's hard.
It is hard, but you just have to be really open and looking for it and figuring out, like trying a lot of different things to see you just get that feeling like in your stomach when you're like, this is the thing that I'm supposed to do, at least for right now. And so I think in order to find that feeling or to find the thing you're passionate about, it is watch different creators or go volunteer different places or whatever. And
travel and see the world.
Travel is like huge. That's like my ultimate re-energizer for sure. But so I think I had no passion for really anything. And then I just became like super open to it and looking for it, in everything. So
that's so
and anybody can do that because I had no idea what I was doing.
Ryan might be interested in this. So she built a product and a brand all along that journey too. That ultimately
that was for profit or a part of the nonprofit.
For profit that fed funds into the nonprofit. So that's what took me to Atlanta.
Ooh, so now we're in Atlanta, Georgia.
Now we're in Atlanta, Georgia, in a really cool co-working space. Kind of like a co-working accelerator type thing that I was in for almost 5 years there. And so I created a pillow company, like a decorative throw pillow, like cool little funky sayings. And we started to sell those to raise money for beds. And that really exploded through a couple of like very early stage Instagram influencers bought them and shared it. And then
you didn't ask them to, they just did it.
They just did it. This was back when truly that was just getting started, like like capitalizing on Instagram influencers. I don't even know if they were called influencers at that point. Like that's how early it was. So anyways, we just got really lucky, and an influencer posted a picture of one of our pillows that me and my friends were making in our college apartment. Okay. Like it was awesome. Very like janky operation. I had to learn to sew. There was a lot. We were literally sewing these pillows and screen printing them.
I love it.
This person posted a picture of one of our pillows, and we had like $40,000 worth of orders in a knot.
What?
Yes. And we were making them by hand. And so I was like, well, I guess it's time to learn how to find a manufacturer. And that was like a whole thing. But we did. And our pillows, when I left Atlanta, we were still being sold in like West Elm and stores like that. So we were e-com and a few kind of major boutiques and retailers.
Wow.
So I sold that with the nonprofit.
Okay, so you sold it as a package.
I sold it as a package because honestly, I was so burnt out and just wanted out. Like it was just time.
Yeah.
I was not in a good place mentally, just years of stress, and I went to college during all of this too. So it was just like a lot. And I kind of sold it as a package deal. And the pillow company did go on for a while. The person that bought it kept it, but I don't think it's going anymore. But it did for a couple of years after. So huge learning experience. Yeah. But yeah, it was a whole thing. For sure.
Talk about the experience of selling the company, like the specifics of how you did it and, what that kind of took to get it to a point to where like you presented it to somebody to sell.
It was a mess. Like I will say I've learned so much since then. Like basically the people who bought it, I felt like bailed me out. We had debt because we had like purchase order debt and all of this stuff. And it was just too much for me. Like
how much debt?
Not a lot, like a normal amount. Like we had basically had like a running line of credit with our manufacturer. Okay. So we had a lot of pillows to sell. So they did not come in to like a super clean situation, but they saw the vision for it and bought it. So we really just cleared, I really basically just cleared my debt from it. So it was weird. It was a weird time. It was not a good time for me. I didn't want, I knew it was time for me to do something different. My body was really burnt out, but I didn't really want to sell it. And then I got an opportunity for these people to kind of take it over. And I probably did everything wrong that you could have done during that phase of my life, just in general. And so it was more of a learn what not to do situation. Well, I would not advise to do anybody.
We learn by
to do what I did.
That's, the best way we learn is to just jump in and fail, fail fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had some really, really good people around me to help me through that time. And I probably did not deserve their help at that point. But we got through it. Yeah. I said I would never be an entrepreneur again after that. And here I am.
That's awesome. So what's your, like, you're in your 20s doing this. Like, you started it at 18. What was your support system like? Was it other entrepreneurs? Was it some, like, startup organizations? Like, what type of mentors did you have?
Oh gosh, I am just like all about mentors. I try to collect them from all different things. So I have had wonderful mentors in my life since I started the nonprofit. I've always, I really, everything that I have learned has been from a mentor, like truly, or every connection that I've had has been from a mentor. And mentorship is always going to be like super close to my heart because it has like opened every door for me. So I had a lot of those. My family's very supportive. I haven't hit the lottery on that. Like I had lots of supportive friends, family. I didn't really hit any friction as far as support went. It was I like accepting it? Yeah. Probably would be like more of the problem. But I definitely like my story would be one of like I had tons of people, other entrepreneurs, the co-working space, like a lot of people poured into me for sure. Yeah, it's so important. So important. And that's kind of like, what Blake and I see as a big gap and where a lot of our entrepreneurs, they need that kind of support and community. Because, being an entrepreneur is a very lonely journey if you don't have community and support around you. And it's very easy just to like give up, if you don't have that. You need people to cheer you on when you're failing and you have a lot of challenges. You need people to go to help you get out of it, or at least motivate you to pivot and do something else, or, solve that problem. But community is so important. And, there's a gap in our region for that, for sure. Oh, yeah. So it's great that you were able to find it. And I seek that too, because I need it for my own mental health. Everybody does. Like there's not a position that you could possibly be in your life where you would not benefit from a mentor. Yeah. And that is, if I learned anything through, I'm only 32, so I have like tons left to learn. But if I've learned anything is why kick down the doors that somebody already kicked down? Just latch onto them like a little leech. That's me. That's the name of the game. Like, I like try to suck them into my friendship web. And I tell people that. I'm like, I'm probably going to force you to mentor me. So that's awesome. That's just how it is. But yeah, it's been huge. So after high school, you start a nonprofit, then you start a for-profit. You are in school. What did you go to school for, and did you finish school? I did finish school. I got a business administration degree.
Nice.
So I just was like, what's the most basic business degree I can get that may benefit me, which I will say college for me was like, I wanted to say that I did it. I started, I wanted to finish, but everything I've learned has been, just by living. So not that I'm like shooting down college. I'm just saying like, go to college. I think it's a really good experience, but just take it for what it is and get the connections out of it. And then just know like you're not necessarily, I guess, don't put so much pressure on like what path you choose in college if you're not trying to be like a subject matter expert.
Like complete the work, but also do things. Meet people.
Use it as
that means more than the content you're learning. Probably is just make connections. That's 100% in college. Like I went to University of Pikeville to play baseball, and if I didn't have baseball, I don't know what type of like community I would have been in. There was no like fraternities and stuff. So like that was kind of like my fraternity. And I made so many good connections and like lifelong friends, and kind of like you, I learned more about business, like going out into the world, and going out and working for a couple companies, and had really good mentors that I worked for,
Yeah, just get it done. Pick something, get it done, but use it for the connections, and just quit putting so much pressure on yourself about like what specific degree. Unless you want to be a doctor, you should probably be
unless you're a professional degree, we want you to study if you're going to be a doctor. We want you to study.
I should say, if you're interested in entrepreneurship, business, that track, just pick something that feels interesting, and you'll learn the rest in the real world. But
what you should do if you're an entrepreneur student is go connect with some of the doctors and connect with some of the scientists.
Yeah, you'll need their money one day.
You'll need their money one day, but also you need their brain, because they might come up with some great idea, but they don't know how to sell it or market it.
So true.
But you could if you're an entrepreneur.
Make rich friends in college. Or friends that you think are going to be rich.
Yeah.
Because you will need them one day.
Yeah. No doubt. All right. So after the for-profit company, you sold it, and then you go work for someone?
Yes. I come back home, take a little hiatus from everything, and just kind of recharge. Went back into sales, which is, what I kind of did in the interim times of my life that I haven't worked for somebody. That has been sales jobs. Or when I have not been working for myself, I've been in sales. So how
long was the hiatus?
I didn't do anything for 6 months.
Okay.
Literally didn't do anything.
That's a good amount of time to recharge.
It was nice. I was really lucky to be able to do that. And then at the end of the 6 months, I went into a sales role locally, and I was like, I'm never going to be an entrepreneur again. Like, I don't want to touch this stuff. I want to just be done with work at 5 and live my life. And that lasted for 1 year. And during that year, though, I was not reading a book, wasn't listening to a podcast about business. I was so burnt out. I was like, never. So it was the best thing. Like, giving myself that year gave me what I would call was like the best idea I've ever had. And now, like, I don't know. Everything happens for a reason. If you have to take a break, it's probably you're going to be like your best self on the other side of that. That was my experience. So
it's a good lesson.
Yeah, just take a break. It's fine.
Yeah. Yep.
It's fine.
For sure. I mean, why not?
What's meant for you will find you.
Will find you.
It really will, though. Yeah. I mean, you can't, if you're trying to do the right things and pursuing things that if you need to take a break, it's going to be like, it's going to be there for you when you.
Yeah. And I will say, like, your mental health is so important. Like, it's everything.
It's everything. If you are not thriving mentally, you cannot do anything. And that is exactly where I got myself. Yeah. I am not like a fan of hustle culture, like burnout, like work all night. I do not do that. I don't do it today. We'll never do it again. You do not get anywhere any faster. I have never gotten anywhere any faster except burnout. Yeah. So I'm like the biggest proponent for work-life balance now.
Have you read the 4-Hour Workweek book? Mm-hmm. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. I got inspired by that. I read it when I was in Mexico like 2 years ago. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Yeah. Like, I'm working too much. Yeah. Like, I need to be enjoying the people around me more. I need to like hang out with my friends more, spend more time in nature, like spend more time with my health. And I kind of pivoted a little bit after I read that. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I pivoted after a nervous breakdown. So basically.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, it is true. Like I no longer find my identity in my business. It's a really exciting part of my life, but it's a part of my life. And I think that was like the best thing that I wish I could have learned that earlier. Because like in my 20s, I got all of my value from what I did and what I was building versus just, so I just completely woke up one day and was 26 and didn't even know like who I was as just a person outside of that. So yeah, don't make it your identity. Be passionate, but like, don't make it your everything.
Yeah. It's like so difficult to find yourself in your 20s. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Blake just turned 30.
He's in the 30 club.
He just crossed over.
He crossed over the...
Like
over the hump, not the hill, but the hump.
Yeah. Like I'm 34 now and I still don't know what I want to do. I'm just like doing everything, seeing what I like to do. And I'm like, and I'm a 7 on the Enneagram.
Same.
You are?
Oh,
I figured you were. So I get bored very easily with like one particular thing.
I've got so many passions.
Yeah.
Now.
Right. We would try to get Blake to do the test, but I don't think he had the focus that night to take it. But
I hate to try to profile anybody, but I feel like I could probably nail like Blake what he is.
You think?
Maybe there's like a few different things like peacemaker, helper, maybe achiever.
Yeah.
So maybe like 1, 2, and 9.
Yeah. I don't think he's got 1 in him.
Not even the achieving aspects.
Huh?
Not even like the achieving, like wanting to. Well, that's true. Maybe it's not. Anyways, we're Enneagram coaches now. That was another passion.
And I know enough to know where y'all are coming from. Yeah.
The next podcast episode will be me and Lauren talking about the Enneagram.
Well, we have no formal training, but it can't be that bad or hard. Yeah. It's not harmful.
I will say that if you are someone that like manages a big team, it's important for everybody to take the Enneagram test so you know how to communicate with one another because it changes things. And I did that with my team when I worked for a nonprofit. I managed like 6 people. We all took it, and it was this tech startup in Kentucky, or was it Ohio, called Cloverfield. And it was like you take the Enneagram, all your team does. They have all these other assessments in it. And then it tells you specifically how you can communicate with the other people in your team. And it gives you like different, it's so cool. And I learned a lot from that. I was like, oh shit, everybody's not like me.
What do you mean everybody doesn't want to do everything all the time?
It's like no wonder they're like that because that's just who they are.
Yeah.
Like
you mean there's melancholy people in the world? What?
I think that's the 7 in us.
Yeah. So sidebar about the Enneagram that's hilarious. When I first started dating Logan, he's an Enneagram 5, which is like everything a 7 is not, like very quiet, introverted, an investigator, researches everything. And I never knew if he liked me or not. And then I somehow tricked him into taking the Enneagram test on like a date or something. I was like, you should just do it. It's fun. No, really, I was trying to figure out like, does he hate me or like, and once I found out, I was like, we're fine. I know he likes me.
That's great.
But I needed to know. Anyways, dating this podcast sponsored by the Enneagram.
Who owns the Enneagram?
Yeah.
Do we know who owns the Enneagram? Is the Enneagram? Is it a company?
There's a few books. I think a lot of people have capitalized on the Enneagram.
We own it now.
Yeah, it's ours.
It's ours. So we're going to call it something different.
Yeah. Okay, sorry about that.
Anyways, this is great. I love this. All right. So then after that, you start a new venture and company that's pivoted a couple times, and that's what we're here to really talk about. So let's hear more about where you're at on your journey, kind of what inspired you to start what you're working on now.
Yeah.
And just kind of tell us more about it.
Yeah, so we have made lots of pivots, which has been insane each time. Each time I'm like, we're failing, like we're never going to do this. And then like you just find a way. But this idea came to me standing in line at the airport in New York City.
I was watching Blindside again.
Inspiration hits me in weird places. My shoes were off and I was going through the security line.
It was Sandra Bullock.
We were at JFK. Seriously. That part, all that stuff about. And we had just been in New York just for fun, and I don't remember, but I seen a billboard for something, and then I was thinking about mentorship, and then suddenly I had the idea. I'm like, oh, I know what I saw a billboard for. BetterHelp. It was like, this was when therapy was becoming like on demand. And I was like, mentorship should be on demand like that. That'd be so cool. And then there we go. I think on the plane ride home, I like wrote out all of my ideas and was like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this. And so we started as Ripple, which we have a new name that I will be revealing here first.
This is breaking news.
This is breaking news.
On the Adventures in Business pod.
Literally. Ew. This business has been an adventure, let me tell you. So wrote down all my ideas. I was like, okay, we're going to build a web platform that connects college students to mentors in different business industries, whatever. So only problem is I'm not tech savvy. So I was like, I must find a co-founder that can actually build this, and I'm going to need him to do it for free. So I did actually succeed in that. I found a co-founder. Right. He is like, he has stake in the company. So it wasn't technically for free. It's been for free for like a lot of years, but he is now getting paid. So yeah, he built the platform. It was just like a simple web-based platform. We partnered with ETSU. They were doing mentorship sessions through it. And our biggest holdup was like, we could never figure out how to monetize it. And we always had more students than mentors. And so the real deep vision or like reason for the business to even begin was that mentorship has been like my entry point to all of the jobs and opportunities I've had. So I'm like, how do we scale that for everybody? Right. If they don't already have like a strong network, how do they get that foot in the door of like their dream job or whatever it may be? And so with that heart in mind and the inability to figure out how to monetize it in our original way, what we really started to see is that the mentors were hiring the mentees for like internships and whatnot because they were meeting like these really wonderful people. We were like, oh, well, that's what we wanted to happen. So from there, we really were just like, okay, we're a recruitment platform. Really, that's what we are. Like we're giving people the opportunity to have this leg up, but then they're getting jobs. So that's something we can monetize. Let's run with that. Mind you, we did all of the mentorship stuff and we were making some money off of that. And
who was your customer?
The colleges, which sucked.
Yeah.
Absolutely sucked. Too many hoops. I was like, I cannot do this. And so we were making some money. It was going pretty well, but we were like, okay, this is it. This is as far as it's going to go. We're not going to be able to grow it, which would have been fine, but we just saw something with the recruitment. So we did mentorship and all of that good stuff through, we launched the mentorship stuff in 2020.
Okay.
Super fun, like a month before the pandemic hit. And then
it's almost like you needed mentors more than ever during that time.
Yeah. So 2019 was kind of like building, figuring it out. 2020 was launch. Did all of that for 2020, monetized some. 2021 came around and I was just like, okay, we're either a one-hit wonder, like we're at one university and we just do it really well, or we start to rebuild into the recruitment space. And that's what we decided to do. And so in 2021, we started to kind of make the transition and play around with it. March 2022, we raised venture capital for it. Like we had built it all out, kind of figured out what was going to work. And now we're a personality first recruitment platform now. And since we made the pivot, we have, like I said, we've raised 2 rounds of venture capital. We have the business is the customer now. So we're a B2B product again. And companies use us basically like if you're recruiting, or if you have any experience in this, like somebody sends in a paper resume, you have to screen all the paper resumes and then you do all these other things. And then like 3 steps later, you'll do that personality interview, that like little 30-minute just get to know. Yeah. So we completely flip the candidate pool and start with personality first. So now candidates do not submit a paper resume at all to the companies that we work with. They answer video questions. That's have great. Built AI on the back end that analyzes it for communication skills and different things, communication skills and basic personality traits. We rate that and then give the organization like the top 15, 20, whatever. And then, they can go through, watch the videos, look at the scores and move them on through the process.
That's great. It's so much more efficient to have that initial kind of resume or an interview process. You can kind of cut out a lot of the stuff by just like submitting videos.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we're working specifically with entry level companies that hire entry level and that personality is like a pillar of who they're hiring for. So if personality is a pillar of what you're hiring for, why do you look at that like last?
Yeah.
So we're just flipping that. And the cool thing is through the pivots, once we finally landed on this one, everything started to hit. Like it sells itself. We have gotten 0 no's to all of the people that we're piloting and selling with. So it's like there's been pivot, friction, pivot, friction. How can we do this? And then when we really hit the business model, then it started like, it feels like an overnight success now. And which
3
is
years later.
3 years later.
But really, that's not that long.
No.
To build something like you built.
It's really cool. And now we have a firm backing us that is basically like they take on early stage companies and they come in as your C-suite. So we have them on our board and our team now, and we're raising $150,000 right now. And then we are up to get that matched by the Build Tennessee, like Launch Tennessee Fund. So ultimately we're trying to raise $300,000 in the next 90 days. And I believe that we'll hit it, which is really exciting. So, and our pilot customers are, they just, are launching. We're in the process of launching this, and it's been awesome. So
that's great. Is the Enneagram part of your personality?
No.
You should put a skills assessment test on there.
We don't do that. We're measuring for different things.
Okay.
We think that the skills assessment will be still for very team specific. So that's still in the hands of the hiring managers, but we're just your new punchy screening tool.
Gotcha.
We're getting you to better personalities faster.
This seems like it would be a great tool for like call centers to use.
We're working with call centers.
So like Sykes, Intuit, Earthlink, all these big call centers that are really close by the way.
Call centers we're working with a group of investors that invested in us also has a call center product specific in their portfolio. So we're working, but call center is literally one of our top, like it's great. Healthcare, call center, retail, hospitality are our top 4.
You have Amazon
markets.
as a customer yet?
No. Jeff, if you're watching.
Jeff, I know you watched the pod, Jeff.
What if you just call Jeff up? But
that would be huge.
We'll get there. We have a lot of cool stuff that we've got a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline company wise. So don't want to speak on anything too soon in case it doesn't happen. But we've got some like big players coming in.
You can reveal all that maybe in August.
Actually, August will be when we will kick one of those off if everything goes to plan.
Yeah.
So it's a national brand
that's awesome.
We'll do a pilot with in a couple of their markets. So
that's great. There's not many companies here that go out and raise venture capital funds or even have like connections to venture capital. Yeah. So I think that I commend you for that. And a lot of people here, our culture in Appalachia, and Blake and I'll talk about this a lot too.
Absolutely.
We don't ask for help enough. And we don't go ask for money. We just think that we can start something and build it on our own. And, things will just...
If you want to be poor and living in your parents' basement, you can, because that's where I was on my way. I only married Logan so he would keep me alive. I'm just kidding.
I mean, there are situations where you can just like bootstrap something, use your sales to like keep growing, but you have to have a big audience. You have to have a big market.
Bootstrapping is for a season, and everybody's in that. Like you bootstrap, but you've got to have a growth track. Like I'm going to bootstrap, and then I'm going to raise a friends and family round, which is what we did. And now we're pre-seed, and then bootstrapping is definitely a part of it, but you can't stay there. So you do have to have a plan, and you do have to ask for it, and it can feel like super uncomfortable. But once everybody told me that your first 50,000 will be the hardest, and then it'll be, and that was so true. Like the first 50,000 felt impossible. And now I'm like, I think we'll close 300,000 in 90 days.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's a weird world.
And you didn't do debt financing at all. That's so cool.
Yeah, we did a friends and that's a whole like another thing about investing. But what's been cool is I got a friends and family investor, and then I got the investment from these people in Atlanta, and that's why I now truly know what it takes to like have an investable product, which is the session that I'm going to be speaking on. But because they've put me through like a boot camp. Basically, they make you investable. Like they take on companies that are on the cusp, but they need to be polished up a little bit. And that's what they've done for us. And that has been like the hardest thing but best thing that ever happened. And now it's like, yeah, everything totally clicks.
It's almost like that polishing is just as valuable as the funding itself or more.
Oh,
right?
More. I mean, there's so many layers to it, but like the polishing is what skyrocketed us.
Yeah.
It felt like going backwards, but it was really like backwards for a second to go like a rocket ship after 3 years.
I want to dive into the weeds a little bit. When you started your company, how did you structure your company?
C Corp.
It was you, C Corp, you and one other person, 50-50?
49-51.
49, and you kept 51, so you're a woman-owned business?
Woman-owned. And just like as a rule of thumb, most investors will not invest in an equal partnership because there's no like tiebreaker kind of. Like it can get too messy. So you're basically always going to want to at least do 49-51.
Okay. And then you got investment, friends and family, and then you went to another round, and then now you got some more venture capital. So then how did you go to those entities, sell off the capital? What's your equity kind of look like now?
So
and I'm sure you'll talk about this more at CreatorCon, but I'm just kind of like curious right now, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Well, we've made some really good deals. I've watched a lot of Shark Tank. But actually, oh my God, the investment process was like pulling my fingernails off. I wanted to die because I hate the financial aspect of anything.
Yeah.
Do you feel that too?
I can feel that.
Heart?
It just sucks the fun.
Sucks the fun out of it. I mean, you're having to make sure. I was reading a freaking Warren Buffett book.
That was so 7 of you to say. Sucks the fun out of it.
Oh, it was awful. I was like, this is not what I want to do. I will immediately hire a CFO, and somebody can tell me how many dollars I can spend at my own company. I don't care.
Yeah.
I would love to be bossed around by financials. I was having a nervous breakdown when we raised our first round of money because, I mean, that little thing over there, that like binder under all the Post-it notes, you see how thick that is? That's for one deal. That was for $50,000. That whole thing.
Nice.
I could get it and bring it over here, but it's like this thick, okay? And you've got to go through all of that, and you don't know what anything means if you're me. And anyways, we did convertible notes. All that to say, we did preferred. It can convert to preferred shares. Nobody cares. But we've made some really great deals. Both of our investments are convertible notes, which is honestly the ideal way to raise money before. I think that you would stay probably in a convertible note until you got to a Series A would be like ideal. It's what's best for the founder. And I can definitely like get a little bit more in the weeds of that, but the goal is I'm trying to remain in control for as long as I can. But a good investor wants that because you're the driver. So you've got to be incentivized and all of that good stuff. But we really had to fight, not too hard. Our investor was awesome, and I've known him my whole life. And he has Sims Venture Capital is who it was, and we went to school together. And so his family they're amazing. But they took a big chance on me. Like, oh my God, I cannot believe he gave me money when he did because we had a lot of work too. Anyways, he saw the vision. Yep. And I'll never forget him for that. That's what I tell him. But anyway, so you can take a bad deal. Like when you're raising money, it's like really appealing because you're broke and you're like, oh my God, we're not going to make it. We have to take anything. But we really fought to get exactly what we wanted. We compromised, like as a team, as in Sims is, on our team now. So there was some stuff that each of us kind of had to give up a little bit. But yeah, you've really got to, understand it enough to not get screwed.
Yeah.
And people can accidentally, like Aaron would have never tried to screw me, but like we're all just trying to figure it out. I was his first outside investment. So it was really interesting, but I would say number one rule, I have a wonderful attorney that really gets down on my level with me, and he is very excited about startups and small business. If you are raising money, you've got to have legal counsel that you can trust, because no matter how smart you are or think you are, venture capital is wild, and there's too many ways it can go that if you don't have a good person on your team like guiding you, you are going to get yourself in trouble. So honestly, I owe like everything to my attorney, and he is always taking on new clients. So
that is so cool. So cool. That's great. I mean,
It's a lot. I'm excited for the session because I felt so inadequate. Like, if you would have asked me to talk about making an investable company, like probably 3 months ago, I would have said, no, I'm not good. Yeah. Like, I can't do that. But so it's cool to know that I can now, like, talk about it
and like enough. I think it's such a great topic, and I hope it inspires more people to think about, going out and getting investment for their company. And also, I mean, working with good mentors and stuff like you have along your journey and how much it's helped you. I really think your story is really, really inspiring. It's certainly inspiring to me, and Blake and I, obviously, at the Coffee Lounge, we have a coffee brand that we want to scale, and got, a lot of big ideas on how we can do that. But it needs, cash to be able to do that. And so, we're finally to the point where we're like, we need to raise some money. Cool. Basically is what we need to do to scale our brand. And so we're thinking about that now. So,
well, I'm definitely not an expert. I can promise you that, but I've got a small thing under my belt that I could at least get you on the right track. Yeah, I think
that's great.
Hopefully.
Blake, do you have anything to add here? Because it's
about time.
12:03. So
it's about time.
Oh, the new name. I'm going to tell you the new name. Personality Pool. Personality Pool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we're like candidate pool, dive in. We're still staying like on the water vein. Water vein. I don't know if that's right, but I'll probably, I'll have some stuff with the new logo at the
And the
conference.
word Ripple has pool in it.
So true. Wow.
Personality Ripple. But personality pool for short.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Love it. Ripple butt.
Dude, this is awesome.
This is great. All right.
Thanks.
So August 23rd and 24th is CreatorCon. You should come to that. Lauren's going to be speaking on August 24th in our breakout session called Creating Investable Ideas, which is going to be awesome. Totally come. It's creatorcon.community. Go get your tickets. There, Blake, do you have anything else to add on top of all that?
Nothing.
He's wearing a Dale Earnhardt hat.
Hell yeah, baby.
Let's go.
Hell yeah. What a line that was. Dale, yeah. That's the thumbnail of this video.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. That's another edition of Adventures in Business. Thanks for watching.